Under the historical spotlight, we have a visitor tonight, Michelle Bakova, from the museum manager and educator from DuPage Historical Museum. And I know Rick Geezer usually does this, but Rick, his son, is graduating from West Chicago and getting like 7 awards tonight. So he said, would I please fill in for him? And absolutely. So it's all yours.
Okay, thank you very much. So first off, I want to say I'm a DARE graduate, not from this program, but from Kane County. So I think it's a great program, and I didn't realize that it wasn't at every elementary school anymore. So I'm from DuPage County Historical Museum. It is in Wheaton, centrally located for the county. We're open 7 days a week, from 9:30 to 4 during the week, and from 12 to 4 on the weekends. We offer school and scout programs. We do private rentals, presentations such as this. We also do presentations at schools, so if they can't afford a field trip, we can go and bring stuff to them. We do lectures, educational programming, summer camps, and a whole lot more. We have some upcoming events that might be of interest to you. We have a Red Grange presentation on June 9th. We also have our famous Train Saturday on June 16th. We have, once a month, we have a model train in our basement. It's 50 years old. It's loosely based on the county, and it kind of teaches children, and then we have an adult paneled exhibit also that teaches how important the railroad system is to the development of DuPage County. And then on July 21st, we have a free Victorian craft family program, as well as sweets and treats fundraiser the same day, so you can come taste a bunch of sweets from around the county. But I was asked here tonight to talk a little bit about the Bicentennial Celebration, what the museum is doing, and a little brief history of the county. So for the Bicentennial, we already had one presentation on the Sheldon Peck home, which is in Lombard. It was on the Underground Railroad. And then we are also having in October a Party Like It's 1818 event. So they're going to be doing some crafts for children that were from the time period, as well as some teaching you how to dance from the time period, and have a little more information for adults as well. So it's a fun little program that's free, that's in October. And then we also have a Voices of DuPage program. It's an oral history initiative. And this year we are asking veterans to come and speak with us, or veterans' families to speak with us, and we'll record their interview for future generations so that we have information, their experiences, their families' experiences recorded. We are losing World War II in particular veterans at an alarming rate. There's very few of them left versus when I was a child. And so we want all veterans, because over the years we start losing them all, just to record that history so we don't lose it for the county and for the future education of all children. So if you're interested in that, I did bring a couple brochures I'll leave on the table for people to grab if they're interested, or if they know any veterans they want to send our way. That's our second bicentennial program that we're doing. So to give a brief history of the county, in 1818 we became a state. From 1818 to 1830 in this area, it was primarily natives, and there wasn't a lot of what we would consider settlers who are staying where they are or homesteading yet. In the 1830s that changes, and we have what are considered the first white settlers of the area, which is considered Bailey and Clarissa Hobson. Bailey and Clarissa had 5 children that they came from Indiana. This would have been more of a covered wagon type situation when they came. And then they had 7 more children here. And one of their daughter's tea sets is actually on display at the museum, and I find it amazing that this tea set from so long ago still exists in really great condition, and it's a toy tea set. And families like this, they traveled by covered wagon, by steamboat through the Great Lakes, and eventually by rail after the 1848, the first train through the county. Some of the first settlers are the Fullers, the Downers, Garys, the Wheatons, Warrens, and Napers. Those are kind of the ones that came in the 1830s. And then we have even more in the 1840s. So I mentioned the railroad went through in the 1848. The first rail line went centrally through the county, which is right through Wheaton, because of the Wheaton family. And in 1859, Naperville had been the county seat, and in 1859, there was a petition to move the county seat from Naperville, which is in southern DuPage County, more centrally located to make it more easily accessible for everyone in the county. Wheaton had also developed at a different rate and faster because of the rail line than Naperville, who got the rail line later. This petition was denied, and then, as we all know, the country was torn by civil war in the 1860s. After 1865, there was talk again about moving the county seat. Due to a lot of changes during the Civil War, overall, just in general, on around all of life, there was another referendum in 1867, and this actually won by a narrow margin. As you can imagine, Naperville was not very happy with this, and they denied the results. And I like to explain it to younger generations. That's kind of like a recount. So they held the records hostage, and they ended up, this had to be settled in court. And even back then, the court system took a long time to decide this. In the meantime, the Grand Army of the Republic, which was the veterans organization in the area, they rode down to Naperville and they stole the records. Although stealing isn't really quite the right word, because it did belong to them, to Wheaton. So they stole what they could, and the folklore surrounds it is that some of those records were lost off of the wagon on the way back, and those records Naperville gathered, and they sent to Chicago for safekeeping until the decision was made whether or not Naperville or Wheaton would become the county seat. It ended up that the Chicago fire happened first, and those records were lost. So the records that were not stolen were lost. And so in 1872, the Illinois Supreme Court ruled that the county seat was indeed Wheaton, that the votes were accurate. And so that is how Wheaton became the county seat. So I kind of covered a very short amount of time, about 50 years of our county's history in the first, since statehood to the 1870s. There's so much more. Feel free to come by the museum, say hi, and I can show you around.
So back then, Naperville, they haven't changed much. That excites me, because I've sit with the mayor from Naperville often, and that was the same reaction I have today that they had 200 years ago. Amazing.
Yeah, they are, there's some people that are still very, very upset about it. They come into the museum and, you guys stole the county seat from us.
I should have known there was an
gotta get
anger
over it.
there, an undertow. When did they actually incorporate Naperville? Do you know? When it incorporated as a,
Off the top of my head. I know the county was 1839, was when we were DuPage County.
Interesting.
Are any of those surnames still around? You know, or like, I'm assuming there's relatives, but.
So the Fullers, does anyone know that the gas station that's in Geneva on 38, there's a Fuller, that's the same family. It's actually, it's adopted, children that were adopted of that same family. That same family is actually also the Terode line, which was of Downers Grove. And the Terode family, we actually talk with often, and they are the wood strips out of Sycamore. They've moved to Sycamore, but some of them are still around. The Wheatons are still around. There's sometimes people come in, I don't know if anyone's heard of John Quincy Adams from Wheaton, not the president. But that family's still around as well.
It's interesting. Do you have a website? Is all that information on there, on the brochure? We're going to post this on our website.
And Michelle, where exactly is the museum?
We are on downtown Wheaton, on the corner of Main Street and Wesley, right across kind of kitty corner from the library. We are the old library building, so we look like a castle. That's how little girls remember us, is we're the castle building.
One thing that I would just, first of all, my kids have gone to field trips. You guys have come to the classrooms. It's a wonderful thing, honestly, that you guys do for the students around here. My one suggestion is, in order to get possibly the word out for veterans, contact J Stream Middle School. A couple weeks ago, they had, for their 8th graders, so contact the 8th grade teachers, and they had a veterans presentation, and they had a World War II veteran there. They had a Korean War veteran. They had many Vietnam veterans there, Gulf War, and a couple of recent veterans that just got back from Iraq. So contact them. I want to say they had almost 20 veterans come and do presentations to the 8th grade class, but our favorite World War II veteran was there. He's a phenomenal speaker. He brings in his uniform and a lot of memorabilia that he still has. So, you know what, off the top of my head, I don't. No, I don't think it is. I don't remember, but if you go to District 93's Facebook page and their Twitter feed, they actually named all the veterans that were there and which wars that they were part of. So I just remember, you know what, my husband and my brother-in-law participated in that, and I was very happy to see that the World War II veteran and the Korean War veteran was there again this year. They do it every year, so. It is. It is, and the 8th graders get a lot out of that.
Well, I'd like to thank you for coming in. That's a lot of information I never knew, and I've been here 42 years, but there's 160 years before I got here, so. But I thought we've been incorporated in 1959, so I think we know just about all the people, not all of us, but I mean, a lot of them know the names, the Starks, and I mean, a lot of them that are still here. So now you tell me the Wheatons, that's how they got all the names, apparently, yeah. The Napers. See, I could have been a Naper.
Hobson is Hobson Road.
It's amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in. Anybody have any questions? No? Thank you very much for
The
coming in.
great work that you're doing, thank you.